The girl tells Kim Taehyung that there is only 1 minute left before the exam starts, to which Kim Taehyung replies that he was almost late for the sudden interview. After which Kim Taehyung passes the hall where all the awakened ones are gathered. He meets the headman and she, in turn, wonders what happened to his body. He has grown so much. To her question, he answers that he just trained a little, and the headman thinks about say. This is what he calls a little. Their conversation is interrupted by the sudden start of the exam. The man explains to them the rules of the exam. They need to collect 5G, including theirs, if theirs is not available. Then they do not pass the time allocated for this exam, about an hour. All methods are allowed except murder, so the exam begins. The circle of Nisi veto changes and all participants are not in the know, but they quickly find their bearings and go to attack Naili Mao. From rank, but she deals with all the attackers and examiners, and one new thing, they praise her skills as well. With the rest of us, testing does not stand out in any way. All of them surpass the skills of the previous test participants. But there is one person who is not particularly expected. God bless the rank from Busan. Over the past 20 minutes of the test, no one has been able to get close to him. He figured out the family of topics. Meanwhile, on the other side, Goto says that their interest is understandable given the scores, but he saw the number as much more interesting. Kim Taehyung. He is sure that he will easily pass the test and show them all, and at that moment he notices how Yoo Hyung is fighting with the awakened Aaron Hong number. They are fighting, exchanging blows equally. And then UVK begins to panic. Has he really been fooled by a recently awakened man in class? But then he notices that MHN did not evade a single blow from the born Aaron Han Nook. This means that he is challenging him. And the awakened one himself notices this. Ideally back-compatible iron skin skill. But here Kim Taehyung's plan is finally revealed to us. Even after a month of hard training, he was unable to unlock his predator skill. This means that his ability is still not enough. The way to increase performance through training is to provide the maximum stimulation that the body can handle. Means that ultimately training is a fight to the limit, so his training is still not over, and at that moment he wins and takes the second token. He laughs and says, "Of course you are crazy." He also understood Kim Taehyung's plan, but there is one big problem in this battle. He used up too much stamina. Now he will have to take care of it. So the best thing would be to collect the badges of the week. But this is not in the spirit of Yoo Hyuna, and he goes to the awakened rank of Shin Yun Bak, who now owns Jai in the amount of all these things. This amazes all the examiners. Meanwhile, Taekyon considers his troubles and says X is much more than 5, and a fierce battle begins in the Henlith from many lightning bolts. But he dodges each and tries to strike the irradiated leg into the stone skin. But his blow does not reach the target. Hin did not expect that with the Thunderer and Busan Shin sideways will be so difficult for lightning thunderbolts to envelop his entire body, performing both a defensive and offensive function. They can also be used to attack. The Predator still can't use it, and he's trying to come up with a plan on what to do in this situation, but they don't give him time for free thinking. The Thunderer delivers a direct blow from which X dodges. A series of blows from the Thunderer follows, but one of the attacks reaches his body. He is struck by a high-voltage lightning strike at the limit of his capabilities. Taehyung uses the stone skin skill on his hand, creating something like a hammer, and attacks the Thunderer. But this attack can hardly cause damage to him. It disintegrates like a lightning strike in an instant, repelling M-Tech. The Thunderer counterattacks with an incredibly strong attack that destroys everything in its path, and Hina is also not weak. The fact that everyone else was busy running away from him, he thought that only Mayan would dare to challenge him. But Kim Yoo-hin is also a very interesting toy. And then Shinbok flies into the stone that MHN Shinbok threw. He was confused. No attack of this couple could affect him, but TMK Chen appears behind him and throws another stone that causes very significant damage to Shin's side. Ravitz reflects that of course stone skin cannot resist the wrath of the thunder god even if it goes beyond its limits, but the examination hall is a different matter. It was originally created from a material that is able to withstand the power of the awakened properties of its properties, so it can be used as a weapon to defeat the god of thunder. And at that moment MHN flies out at him with a huge piece of the hall in his hand, and Su with a grin on his face inflicts a crushing attack on Shin's side. All the examiners are shocked as the rank defeated SNG. The awakened GOC thinks to himself, makes MK Chen nervous, MK Chen himself, holding Boji in his hands. thinks that now he has all the badges and all that remains is to wait for the end of the exam. But then an ice block flies at him, and Kei Chen is surprised by LD. But look around, he notices whether Mayan has the ability, and then she appears right in front of him and heads towards him. He is amazed. She continues to walk in his direction with an icy gaze. He tries to comprehend the situation as she did now from since when she watches the battle, and then she begins to read morals techno you see with great power comes great responsibility, and power without responsibility is just violence. She didn't expect that Kin would be able to defeat Kin Boka. MK Chen is trying to find out why he so suddenly launched an attack on him. But she doesn't pay attention to him and continues her monologue with visible whines. So you defeated Licking, and at that very moment a hail of snow bombs is falling. Kim Min is trying to figure out what to do, how to evade the attack, but all his methods are useless. Even if he goes into invisibility, it won't help. After all, Lyman's attack is aimed at the square. But then she herself interferes with the hail of her blows, and she says Mtek that he believed him then in the gym. She is not like those guys. But in the end JKSU did it. Kim Yoo-hin, she attacks him with a huge ice spire. Kim Tek flies away from such a powerful attack and falls to the ground without strength. She continues the unauthorized use of skills is a crime. Those guys are still in the hospital. But something must have happened to him too. Therefore, I will not file a complaint. How stupid she is. However, you should refrain from taking the Atom exam as you are not qualified to be a hunter. But Kim Tykh, he is not such a simpleton. Through pain and fatigue he melts. And does Mayan respond to her match the unstoppable tyrant Lijin J? He has the strength responsibility qualifications. In the end you just want to mock me. Better use the survival test as an excuse. Won't Mayan be a coward in shock from the impudence of Kim Tana and decides to no longer show mercy to him, and uses the ability to summon a giant ice hammer, and says that he will finish off the KM Tech with one blow. But even such a strong hero as UXN is not in a difficult situation right now. His stone skin has broken hundreds of times and has long spent its function. Stealth will not help because my attack is aimed at a huge area. The monarch's heart has been activated for a long time and will not help either. The predators are still in a sealed state, and also the takeaway is at 0, and he will not be able to activate paralysis in close combat as the Sleen did. After all, what is he now? Maybe it's heading to Klee Mayan. He scrolls through this thought all in his head, and then a flash occurs, eclipsing the view of all spectators. What happened to the battle? No one understands, but then the curtain of the battle begins to dissipate, and everyone sees an amazing sight. Kim, did you kiss Mayan? All from this shocked, and Yan herself is even more bewildered. But this is not what you might think about, my lustful viewers. In fact, in a desperate moment, Kim Taehyung sought to impose paralysis on Lee Mayan. Because paralysis works much better at close range and when it acts not from the outside but immediately penetrates inside. That is why Kim Taehyung mixed his blood with poison and forced man to swallow it. But even so, there was still a chance of failure because the Iranian woman has monstrous resistance. But this adventure was a success, or Mayan lies helplessly paralyzed in his own snow. Akim Hen thinks that this is a success, and then announces about the end of the first stage of the exam. The healers treated the participants who had suffered serious injuries despite the fact that Lehman was affected by paralysis. Kim Yoo-hena, and she lost to him. She still passed the exam, and Kim himself was a technician despite the fact that he collected all the badges. Victory over Shin Buk or Mayan reforged everyone's attention to him. So everyone rushed in that it would be nice to have a healing skill in his arsenal, because after the exam he could even walk with difficulty. But then Shin Bak jumped out from around the corner, attacking him with the words "cowardly bastard Kin," and managed to block attack with the help of his stone skin skill. The crowd thinks that if Shin Bak deals with some chi, then there will be one less candidate for Shin, and therefore they begin to support Bak's hairpiece. But he doesn't like this very much, and he uses his lightning and tells Kin that let's do it, fight honestly, and now he will show who is in charge here. But at this moment the hunter Anga Paksa interrupts their battle using his typing skill Shinboka in the ground. Kim barely manages to stand on his feet. Kim Tech is amazed that such a strong hunter of the association is doing here. He is the future SSS rank. Pak Sungji notices Kim Taehyung and is amazed that he is still standing on his feet, and he strengthens the influence of Snow Ion. Kim Taehyung. But even so, Kim Taehyung does not bend his knee in front of him. AK Sajin is surprised because even veterans are not able to withstand this ability, and he is going to strengthen it even more the pressure of his strength, but then the doctor interrupts him with a question. What do you want? And get rid of these children even before the start of the second exam. To which Saja replies that he is just disciplining them. But the doctors don't believe him and says that if he does this one more time, he will force to report to the president of the association after. Which Pak Suji turns to our main character asking his name, to which the answer follows. My name is Kim Yoo-hin. A hunter of rank immerses with Dumi. If this is definitely MKHN, then he will beat Shink Island with his rank, and then a grin flashes across his face, and he thinks that finally someone interesting has appeared, clapping Kim Henna on the shoulder. He tells him that of course your goal is to become a hunter of rank and he will really look forward to it. Leave and chase him after this. Humorous scene. We are transported to the second stage of the exam where Pak Sejin explains its rules. He announces that the location of the second stage is a dungeon de rank. Everyone is in shock. After all, they have never seen real monsters before, and Pak Sejin continues to explain the rules. Every 5 test subjects form a team accompanied by an experienced hunter during this stage. Each of their actions will be assessed for their battle skills, observation, wisdom, and mutual assistance. All necessary equipment will be provided by the Hunters Association. So this is the end of the explanations. Now everyone will take turns going through the gates and reflects that even inexperienced amateurs there won't be any difficulties with a D-rank dungeon if an experienced hunter joins. That's only if it's not a double dungeon. Apocalypse is a dungeon with a rank discovered inside a D-rank dungeon. The location of the second stage for a hunter's license. Many people in that dungeon were killed, including Ru. But now no one will believe his words, so he thinks that unless he ends up in the first group, just surviving will be enough, and relaxed, he enters the portal. But his face immediately distorts because in front of him he sees the second overseer of the hunter. Rana Yeri of the double dungeon apocalypse, and to himself Kim Yoo-hin think that things already smell fried.